Hi friends, this is Ashish Anand from IIT Bombay BTech and MTech. I will be giving you certain questions regularly for your coming NEET examination. So let's see the first question. So what I will advise, if you have not attempted these questions, you can pause it for 2 minutes and then solve the question. Right, so this is a circuit and here we are supposed to find the equivalent resistance between A and B. So if we understand the concept of a group point, first name it. So I will be naming this as C and this as D. So we will redraw the circuit. So what you can see is between an A and C, there is one resistance of 60 ohm, and between C and B, there is resistance of 120 ohm, and between A and D, you have resistance of 10 ohm and you have resistance of 30 ohm. And between C and D, there is something like 120 ohm. Between D and B, so this point is D and B, they are identical, right? So you can understand that D and B are identical. So I take this as B only. So between C and B, 120. Between C and B, another 120, and another, this 60 ohm is between B and B, right? So this is like a short circuit. So there is no current will be passing through this. So you can remove this. You can remove this. There is nothing like this will be a short circuit. So what you can say that these two are in parallel. So between C and B, the equivalent resistance will be, if we redraw it, 60. This is between A and C, and A and B, this is 40, and between C and B, this is 60. Right. So what you are supposed to find between A and B. So these two are in now series, and this 40 is in parallel. So equivalent will be 120 by 40 divided by 160. So the answer will be 30 ohm. So you could have solved it very easily, very fast, but I'm trying to make you understand. So you have to understand that this name D and B is of an identical group point because there is no circuit element within this point. So the correct answer of this question will be D. So you can take it for D, 30 ohm. Let's go to the next question. So I've taken the questions from almost all the sections so that there will be a proper practice and you can revise the formulas before solving these questions. So this current element and this point is along the same line, or say the DL vector and the R vector is making an angle 0°. So current due to this will be 0. Now this is a semicircle. So we know that any arc will subtend an angle theta. Due to this, magnetic field will be mu naught I upon 4 pi r theta. So for semicircle, theta will be pi. So it will come as mu naught I upon 4 r. So you have to look for the option mu naught I upon 4 r. So by that logic, this and this has gone. Now if you see the direction, due to this, the current is downward or upward. So current is downward or upward. So the current is upward. So you can use the right hand rule and you can see the current is upward. And this is anti-clockwise. So shortcut in magnetism, you always remember ACU or CD. CD for cold drinks. Clockwise down. So it is anti-clockwise, so up. So both are up. So you can directly go for the option number C. Again, I will explain this value also so that you can learn from it, right? So if there is a finite wire like this, where this end subtend an angle alpha and beta, the magnetic field will be mu naught I upon 4 pi d sine alpha plus sine beta. We know for infinitely long, this alpha and beta will be 90 degree. But if you're taking a long wire and it is one of the end, then one of the angle will become 0. So we call it as condition of semi-infinite long wire. And in that case, the magnetic field will be, in place of alpha, you can put 0. And in place of beta, you can put pi by 2. So you will get mu naught I upon 4 pi r. So the answer is C. Let's go to the question number 3. This is a question from gravitation. If a particle of mass m is released from a height 3r above the Earth's surface, then its kinetic energy when it reaches the Earth's surface. So Earth is an attractive system, right? So just like electrostat, if you remember the gravitational potential energy, if you have taken the reference as infinity, as we will come closer, the potential energy will be negative. So 3r above the Earth's surface, all the measurement will be done from the center of the sphere. So initial potential energy is minus gmm upon 4r. And potential energy final is minus gmm upon r. Apply energy conservation. And you will get answer as 3 by 4 gmm upon r. So in case if I am making any mistake in calculation, you can rework it and you can get the correct answer. So just check for the calculation. And two bodies are thrown simultaneously from a tower with the same initial velocity, vertically upward and downward, right? So this question has one assumption. The assumption is t time is the time where none of the ball has landed, none of the body has landed. If that is the case, this becomes a very interesting and very simple question. So many times people try to apply what is the displacement of the first particle and what is the displacement of the second particle. That is not required. The first step is choose the direction. So you can choose any direction as a positive. It is just a choice. But once you have made the choice, stick to it. So if the first particle has initial velocity v naught, then the second particle has initial velocity v naught minus. So minus v naught. So the relative velocity is v1, 2 will be 2 v naught. Now, if you talk about the acceleration, acceleration for both will be same and this will be minus g. Why minus g? Because we have assumed our positive in the upward direction and gravitation will always pull in the downward direction. So E12 is 0. So during the motion, you can whatever the question comes, if it is a question of relative distance, then it is a simple case of uniform velocity. So the question has now been reduced that an object is traveling with velocity 2v naught in t time. What will be its displacement? Its displacement will be 2v naught t. So you can tick this choice. This is a simple question on the application of Bernoulli's law. So the flow speeds of air on a lower and upper surface of wing of a plane is v and root 2v. So here the wing of the plane thickness is not much. So we are ignoring rho g h term, that is potential energy per unit volume. So all of us know that this will be P upper plus half rho v square upper portion P lower, say P lower plus half rho v lower ka square. So P lower minus P upper will be half rho v upper ka square. So upper surface of the plane has velocity root 2v. So if you will do the square, it will come as rho v square minus half rho v lower ka square is half rho v square. So this comes as half rho v square. Now you want to find the dynamic lift. So pressure into area, if you will multiply with the area, you will get the answer as C. Again, you have to check for the calculation and check for the Bernoulli's equation. So you have to understand here also there is an assumption that as thickness of the wing of the plane is not given or it is very small, so we have ignored this term. So you have to be very clear with this. Now two particles A and B initially at rest move towards each other with mutual attraction. So when you're talking about mutual attraction, if the body 1 is experiencing a force F, then body 2 will be also experiencing a force of magnitude F in opposite direction. So F net is 0. So if F net is 0, then the center of mass at any point of time will move with the 0 velocity. So the first and foremost, you should remember that in any question related to mutual attraction, if you are being asked about the speed of the center of mass of the system, it will come as 0. So no doubt about it, right? And now come to the another question could have been asked, what is the ratio of the mass of A and B? So any question which is related to the mutual attraction, you have to require to do the following two steps. First, apply conservation of momentum. So you have to apply conservation of momentum, and second, apply conservation of energy. Apply conservation of energy. So when you are applying conservation of energy, make sure that energy is not being dissipated. So even if a dissipative forces are acting, the momentum conservation can be applied, but energy conservation cannot be applied. But as for NEET, this is a very easy question. Let's move to the question number 7. So what I will suggest, if you're not able to understand, just reread the question and listen to the explanation first. And still, if you have any doubt, do revert in the comment. So this is a lift which is going downward with an acceleration 2 meters per second square. So if you are observing this object from here, this will be a non-inertial reference frame. So what we are finding is force exerted by block A on the block B. So in turn, we can say that the question is being asked, what is the normal reaction between A and B? So the mass of B is not given. So let's analyze. The normal reaction applied by the B on A will be N 0.5 G and 2 meters per second square. There will be a pseudo force here, 2 into 0.5. In this frame, the block A is not accelerating. In this reference frame, somebody watching this will not find the block A getting accelerated. So force is balanced. N plus 1 is equal to 5. So the upward force is equal to the downward force. So answer is N is equal to 4 Newton. So the normal experienced by the block A by block B is 4 Newton. So from Newton's third law, the block A will apply the same reaction force on the block B. So the answer is 4 Newton. Next, move to the next question, question number 8. A car of mass 1000 kg negotiated a banked curve of radius 90 meters on a frictionless road. The banking angle is 45 degrees. The speed of the car is. So we know that for banking, tan theta is equal to V square upon RG. So this is a first practice session. So I have taken a question which is formula based. So at least you can revise those formulas and reattempt these questions. V square. We are supposed to find this is 90 and this is G. So this will come as 30 meters per second. So you can directly take this. This is again a very simple question. Let's take a question number 9. Question number 9 is a very interesting question. And it's a little bit on the tougher side for the neat people. But it will be useful for if you're focusing on the concept, then it will be useful to tackle these kind of a question, will be helping you to tackle so many other questions. A heavy particle hanging on a string of length L is projected horizontally with root GL. The speed of the particle at a point where the tension in the string is equal to the weight. So let the mass is M. It's not given, so we have assumed this L. So probably we are expecting this M will get cancelled out. And any such scenario, when you are finding that the M is not given, you can easily assume the weight is 1 kg. So that will eradicate the writing M so many times. But I am taking it, you can avoid it by taking the mass as 1 kg. Root G. So first take this as a reference. Let's take this as the lowest point as a reference. So reference, the potential energy is 0. Now, suppose say this happens at angle theta. Suppose this happens at angle theta when the ball has moved such that it is making the angle theta with the initial position. So in this case, here it will be mg cos theta. This is tension, and tension is given in the question as mg. So you can write the condition for circular motion, mg minus mg cos theta is the net centripetal force in the inward direction, that is equal to mv square upon L. So I've taken the velocity at this point as V. This is the first step. Now you apply energy conservation. So initial potential energy is 0. Initial kinetic energy is half m root GL ka square, that is GL, is equal to half mv square plus mg L minus L cos theta. This is what we have got. So we have got something like this. Now what we want mg cos theta to go away, because our target is to find the speed at this particular point, right? So what we can take is half mgl half mv square plus mgl minus mgl cos theta. So m we have cancelled, so we are looking for the value of g cos theta. So let's cancel the m from here also. So we will get gl cos theta is half v square minus gl by 2. So hopefully you have noted this down. So gl cos theta is this. So g cos theta is g minus 1 by 2 v square by L minus g by 2. So I have taken this as v square by L. So let me check. This is plus gl by 2. This is plus g by 2. So what I'll do, I'll use this particular space here. So from here, g minus g cos theta and g minus this will come as g by 2 is equal to 3 by 2 v square by L. So probably we have got the answer now. So v is root gl by 3. So just look at the step. This is very important step. I have taken the potential energy as mg into this length. So let me use a different color so that at least you can. So this is the height we have taken mg into this height. This total height was L and this height is L cos theta. So this height will be L minus L cos theta. So you have to be very careful. Initial potential energy, initial kinetic energy, final kinetic energy, and final potential energy. This term has come from the required centripetal force will be equal to mv square by L, because it is moving in a radius of L length. So this is question number 9. It is a very interesting question. So what I will suggest, if you have not done this question, just after 2 to 3 days after that, reattempt this question and see the solution again. So it will at least clear your basic concept. Last question is from sound. I have tried to cover as many as topics as I can so that you are revising the formula daily. So if you want to get good marks in NEET, the strategy is get up in the morning and revise the formulas of physics and chemistry. A stretched wire of length 110 centimeter is divided into 3 segments where the frequencies of the frequencies are in the ratio 1:2:3 and their length must be. So let's take the example. So the frequencies ratios are given. So this is L1, this is L2 and L3. So how you are dividing this length for this particular frequency ratio? So this is an example of the string both end type. So fundamental frequencies or can be written as, so which frequencies? I'm assuming the fundamental frequencies, right? So their frequencies are in the ratio of 1:2:3. So frequency is V by 4L1 for first, for second V by 4L2, and for third it is V by 4L3. As it is a same wire, the velocity in a string can be written as root T by mu. So the tension in a string will be same. Tension in a string is same. So and mu is same. They are made up of the same material. So it means V by 4 is same. So remember, F1 is to F2 is to F3 is 1 by L1 is to 1 by L2 is to 1 by L3. So L1 is to L2 is to L3 is 1 by F1 is to 1 by F2 is to 1 by F3. So for NEET students, we can remember it as a trick. So if any question is asking the ratio of the length, it will be the reciprocal of ratio of the frequency. So it will come as 1 is to 1 by 2 is to 1 by 3. So just take the product of the denominator and multiply in the numerator. So it will come as 6:3:2. So now you are dividing 110 in the ratio of 6:3:2. So 6 plus 3 plus 2 is 11. 11 is equal to 110. So 1 is equal to 10. So the length will be 60:30:20. So this is what you are looking for. So 60:30:20, the correct answer. So the answer will be B. So hopefully you have gone through the question and you have solved it by yourself. If you have not done so, redo it again. I wish you all the best for your NEET preparation. This is my lecture number 1 for the NEET problem solving session. Thank you.